Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Gifts, Volume 3, Book 47, number 740 to 804. Volume 3, Book 47, number 740. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, O Muslim women, none of you should look down upon the gift sent by her she-neighbor even if it were the trotters of the sheep, fleshless part of legs. Volume 3, Book 47, number 741. Narrated by Urwa. Aisha said to me, O my nephew, we used to see the crescent, and then the crescent and then the crescent. In this way we saw 3 crescents in 2 months, and no fire, for cooking, used to be made in the houses of Allah's Apostle. I said, O my aunt, then what used to sustain you? Aisha said, the 2 black things, dates and water. Our neighbors from Ansar had some manna, and they used to present Allah's Apostle some of their milk, and he used to make us drink. Volume 3, Book 47, number 742. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, I shall accept the invitation even if I were invited to a meal of a sheep's trotter, and I shall accept the gift even if it were an arm or a trotter of a sheep. Volume 3, Book 47, number 743. Narrated by Sahl. The Prophet sent for a woman from the emigrants, and she had a slave who was a carpenter. The Prophet said to her, order your slave to prepare the wood pieces for the pulpit. So, she ordered her slave, who went and cut the wood from the tamarisk and prepared the pulpit for the Prophet. When he finished the pulpit, the woman informed the Prophet that it had been finished. The Prophet asked her to send that pulpit to him, so they brought it. The Prophet lifted it and placed it at the place in which you see now. Volume 3, Book 47, number 744. Narrated by Abdullah bin Abu Qatada al-Aslami. That his father said, one day I was sitting with some of the Prophet's companions on the way to Mecca. Allah's Apostle was ahead of us. All of my companions were in the state of ihram while I was a non-muhrim. They saw an onager while I was busy repairing my shoes, so they did not tell me about it, but they wished I had seen it. By chance I looked up and saw it. So, I turned to the horse, saddled it and rode on it, forgetting to take the spear and the whip. I asked them if they could hand over to me the whip and the spear, but they said, no, by Allah, we shall not help you in that in any way. I became angry and got down from the horse, picked up both the things and rode the horse again. I attacked the onager and slaughtered it, and brought it, after it had been dead. They took it, cooked some of it, and started eating it, but they doubted whether it was allowed for them to eat it or not, as they were in the state of ihram. So, we proceeded, and I hid with me one of its 4 legs. When we met Allah's Apostle and asked him about the case, he asked, do you have a portion of it with you? I replied in the affirmative and gave him that fleshy 4 leg, which he ate completely while he was in the state of ihram. Volume 3, Book 47, number 745. Narrated by Anas. Once Allah's Apostle visited us in this house of ours and asked for something to drink. We milked one of our sheep and mixed it with water from this well of ours and gave it to him. Abu Bakr was sitting on his left side and Umar in front of him and a Bedouin on his right side. When Allah's Apostle finished, Umar said to Allah's Apostle, here is Abu Bakr. But Allah's Apostle gave the remaining milk to the Bedouin and said twice, the person's on the right side. So, start from the right side. Anas added, it is a sunnah, the Prophet's traditions, and repeated it thrice. Volume 3, Book 47, number 746. Narrated by Anas. We chased a rabbit at Ma al-Zaran and the people ran after it but were exhausted. I overpowered and caught it, and gave it to Abu Talha, who slaughtered it and sent its hip or 2 thighs to Allah's Apostle. The narrator confirms that he sent 2 thighs. The Prophet accepted that. The sub-narrator asked Anas, "Did the Prophet eat from it?" Anas replied, "He ate from it." Volume 3, Book 47, number 747. Narrated by As-Sabib bin Jathama. An onager was presented to Allah's apostle at the place called Al-Abwa, or Wadden, but Allah's apostle rejected it. When the Prophet noticed the signs of sorrow on the giver's face, he said, "We have not rejected your gift, but we are in the state of Iram," i.e., if we were not in a state of Iram we would have accepted your gift. Fatah al-Bari, page 130, Volume 6. Volume 3, Book 47, number 748. Narrated by Aisha. The people used to look forward for the days of my Aisha's turn to send gifts to Allah's apostle in order to please him. Volume 3, Book 47, number 749. Narrated by Said bin Jubair. Ibn Abbas said, Hafid, Ibn Abbas's aunt sent some dried yogurt, butter-free, ghee, butter, and a mastagar to the Prophet as a gift. The Prophet ate the dried yogurt and butter but left the mastagar because he disliked it. Ibn Abbas said, the mastagar was eaten at the table of Allah's apostle, and if it had been illegal to eat, it could not have been eaten at the table of Allah's apostle. Volume 3, Book 47, number 750. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. Whenever a meal was brought to Allah's apostle, he would ask whether it was a gift or sadaqah, something given in charity. If he was told that it was sadaqah, he would tell his companions to eat it, but if it was a gift, he would hurry to share it with them. Volume 3, Book 47, number 751. Narrated by Anas bin Malik. Some meat was brought to the Prophet and it was said that the meat had been given in charity to Buraira. He said, "It was sadaqah for Buraira but a gift for us." Volume 3, Book 47, number 752. Narrated by Aisha. I intended to buy Buraira, but her masters stipulated that her wallah should be for them. When the Prophet was told about it, he said to me, "Buy and manumit her, as the wallah is for the liberator." Once Buraira was given some meat, and the Prophet asked, "What is this?" I said, "It has been given to Buraira in charity." He said, "It is sadaqah for her but a gift for us." Buraira was given the option to stay with her husband or to part with him. Abdurrahman, a sub-narrator, wondered, was her husband a slave or a free man? Shubha, another sub-narrator, said, I asked Abdurrahman whether her husband was a slave or a free man. He replied that he did not know whether he was a slave or a free man. Volume 3, Book 47, number 753. Narrated by Aisha. Once the Prophet went to Aisha and asked her whether she had something to eat. She said that she had nothing except the mutton which Aisha had sent to Buraira in charity. The Prophet said that it had reached its destination, i.e., it is no longer an object of charity. Volume 3, Book 47, number 754. Narrated by Aisha. The people used to send gifts to the Prophet on the day of my turn. Salama said, my companions, the wives of the Prophet other than Aisha, gathered and they complained about it. So I informed the Prophet about it on their behalf, but he remained silent.